Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an organizer and may now speak to any other organizers or panelists on the line. When you are ready to begin the presentation, press the Start Broadcast button on the GoToWebinar control panel to allow all attendees to hear you. This system will notify you once you begin your broadcast. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, everybody. Sorry for the jumping on so late there. Bear with me 1 second here and turn on this presentation, and we'll get started here in just a minute. All right. It looks like I've got the questions box open. I'm going to keep it on mute just to keep the background noise at a minimum. But if you guys could just type in real quick that you guys can hear me and then also see the screen as well, just to make sure that we don't have any technical issues. All right, perfect. Thank you, David. All right, just to respect your time, because we do have a half an hour window, I'm going to jump right into this. So we're going to go over the most important thing that you guys can be doing right now for your 2019 year, and that is actually doing your planning and getting your business plan in place so you have a blueprint on what you need to do for 2019, and then allow the system to track you versus your business plan, just like a GPS does. We do that with inside of CTE as well. We have that built-in GPS. There's actually the GPS right on your home page. This is right below your income tracker. What we're going to be doing and how this works throughout the year is it has the GPS on here. So when you set your goal for the year, in this example, my goal is $500,000. And based off of this screenshot is we are in November, I should be at 490 to be on pace to hit my goal. I'm at 265. So I can see that. So to give you an example, through 2019, once the year starts, your little needle here is slowly going to creep across here, and so is your guide. So you can always see if you're on pace to hit your goals or if you're not on pace to hit your goals. One thing it also does is it also forecasts and tells you, based off of your current pace and the pace that you're going at, the time remaining in the year, if you stay at that pace, here's where you're going to end up financially by the end of the year. So what's so cool about that is if you're sitting here in March and you're at a dollar figure, it's going to project and tell you based off of that pace, here's where you're going to end up by the end of the year. So you can always see what's coming up ahead inside of your business. Another report I just want to touch on before we go into setting our goals, and this is by far my favorite report in CTE, and this is just called your scoreboard. It's a very simple and clean report that allows you to see your entire business in one snapshot along with your monthly goals, exactly what you need to do this particular month. Because what CTE does that no other system does out there is if you end the month of, let's just say we end the month of February and year to date we're behind pace on our goals, the system does not tell you to do the same thing over and over again. It digests your data and then it tells you, okay, based off of your deficiencies in your business, here's what your new goals are for the month to get you back on track to hit your financial goals for the year. It automatically does this on the first of every month. It goes in there and reanalyzes your goals and it kicks out new monthly goals. Your listing goals are on the left-hand side, and then your buyer goals are on the right-hand side. This will update. Obviously, I just have zeros on my screen here. And then you have all of your year-to-date numbers inside of here. You've got your year-to-date goal for your GCI. Where are you? Where should you be at? It's going to show you in this screenshot, it's 35 days till we start the first quarter. And then it also shows you all of your stats. So it's just like a scoreboard that you would see at a football game. We can see who's winning or who's losing. And then they always show the stats. Well, here's the yards per carry. Here's rushing yards, passing yards, total yards, time of possession. So you can help understand why a team is winning. Well, this is going to be the same concept is if you're winning or losing, we can look at the key areas of your business and find out maybe why you're losing. What areas do we need to work on? It'll highlight in red if you're behind pace, and then green if you're ahead of pace. So all of these will be on that scoreboard. What is the report called again? It's called the scoreboard. So it's top menu of your homepage, scoreboard. I'll show you how to access that as well. But a very powerful report. It also is going to show you the first quarter of the year. So again, I'm a huge sports fan. This is why this is my favorite report, because scoreboards tell the facts. And the first quarter of the year, how did we do? What was the goal? Did we win the first quarter? Did we win the second quarter? Are we ahead by halftime? third quarter, fourth quarter, and then the final score as well. So that is going to be one of the things we're going to be setting up today is your goals. That's going to make that report work for you. All right, let's jump into the system here, and we're going to go into the business plan. But real quick, that scoreboard that we just talked about is right here on your homepage. And I can't emphasize this enough. A lot of people ask me all the time, and I've named a few more tabs. But the reason why we try to avoid using the tabs is it actually slows the system down. It is meant to run just like a website. So you just point and click. If you want to go into the business plan, you click right on it. It's going to go right into the business plan. You click to go back to your home page. You want to go to My Business, you click on it, and it brings you right in there. If you want to go to your reports, go to your scoreboard, and then simply click on the home page. It prevents you from having to sit here and scroll and scroll and scroll. It runs just like a website. Just point, click where you want to go. All right, so I'll stop rambling on that little area. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the business plan. So when I go into the business plan, there's really 3 areas for me to do my business plan. I got my production, which we're going to start with. I've got my expenses. I can enter that, and I can also adjust my seasonality. That's one thing that's very powerful, to have the ability to tweak your seasonality, because when you're looking at your goals, you don't want to be defeated. So if your year tends to start slower, you can set that inside the seasonality. Because if your goals just flatline throughout the year, and all of a sudden you're way behind pace in January, and it's basically because of your seasonality, it kind of it's defeating to look at your numbers. So this allows you to set the proper seasonality, so you know if you're on pace to hit your goals, and have the ability to defeat your goals as well, and have that winning feeling. So everything is highlighted in yellow that we're going to fill out. I'm going to start this off by doing the goals as an individual, and then I'll turn it into a team. So to turn your team on, you simply choose team, and that gives you the capability to go in here and add all of your team members' goals as well. So I'll start it off as an individual just to go through these and help you guys understand this. So real quick here, everything is highlighted in yellow. I just simply fill it out, and then the yellow will go away. So the team name, so I'm just going to do Mergen Real Estate, individual, and then my big why. Because again, there has to be something else that drives you besides the money, because you'll burn out on that. So what drives you? What picks you up? If you are falling behind pace, what is going to be that thing that says, you know what, for my big why, I have to get back to work and make sure that these things happen to hit my goals this year. Otherwise, my big why is going to suffer. So I'm going to use family in this scenario. You can use anything you want. I've seen some very creative things. Some of the main ones are family, debt-free, retirement, vacation, and just whatever is going to be that thing that truly drives you. Your estimated taxes that you want to take out, and again, I consult with your CPA on this. I'm just going to simply use 30%. It's going to take out 30% for my taxes, because I want to see what my net after taxes is going to be when I do my business plan. So not just my production, but I want to see how much I'm going to actually take home after my business plan is done. If you have a split to your office, so if you don't pay a split to your office, you can put 0% in there. But majority of you people will have a split to your office. I'll use 30% in this scenario. And then if your split has a cap, so if you cap, and I have a $20,000 cap to my office, I can input that in here. If you do not have one, you can simply put 0, and it will just continually take out the split for our business plan. And then you can also put in your anniversary months, because the system will track your cap based on your anniversary month right in My Business for you. I'll use the month of March. And if you have a royalty or a franchise fee, if you have anything like that, what is the cap on that? Mine is $3,000. My royalty anniversary month, if I have that, I'll set that as March as well. And then my split on my royalty is 6%. So I can input that as well. So all of my area in section 1 is filled out. If you don't have a royalty, again, just simply put 0. So that's section 1. And now we're going to go into actually inputting the goals for 2019. So the first spot is for the lead agent if you're on a team. So this is where the lead agent will go. And if you're an individual, obviously it's just going to be you. So I'll use myself, Calvin Mergen. My GCI goal for 2019, I'm going to put $500,000. So my goal is to produce $500,000 in GCI for 2019. And again, it highlights in yellow the areas that I need to fill out. So the income is 500,000. Now I decide, where is that business going to come from? Am I listing heavy? Am I buyer heavy? And I'll keep it simple. I'll just do 50% in this scenario. So it's 50%. You can see how these numbers all update live right in front of you. There's no save button. Everything just happens as you point and click. I'm going to put my average sale price on a listing, 200,000. I'll put my average sale price on a buy side is 200,000 as well. So you can obviously differentiate those. And you can also tweak your listing side commission and your buyer side commission. I just have the standard 3.3% in there. I know there is no standard in our industry, but I think that kind of is in our industry without saying that. But you guys can put in whatever fits your market on the list side and on the buy side. And basically, my production goals are done. It has generated my entire business plan for me. I'm going to go through the rest of this, but it tells me exactly how many listings I need to sell this year, basically 42 and 42 buyers, 41.7, because it does the exact math in here. So all of that is done. It shows me how many listings I need to take, how many buyer reps I need to take, listings sold, buyers sold, total, my volume, my GCI, my cost of sales, which is my split right now. My expenses are at 0 because I have not filled that out. My net income, my taxes, and my net after taxes. So it has filled out my entire business plan right up on the top ribbon there. So real quick, we don't want to just set unit goals, because in our industry, obviously there are activities that lead to our sales. We can't just sell a house today. It takes the appointment and then the listing or the buyer rep, then that leads to the closing. So we want to get it all the way down to the appointment. So right now it is telling me that I need to sell 64 listings or take 64 listings this year based off of a 65% close rate. You can adjust that to your area or what's going on in your market right now. I'll use 75%. So if 75% of my listings sell, that means I have to take 56 listings this year, and that will give me 41.7 or 42 listings sold. And then buyer reps. So the system will track your buyer reps as well. So you'll see buyers taken. When you see that, that is buyer reps taken. Now, one thing that's very important, and I would say maybe 20% of the CTE users actually do this, and they're missing a huge opportunity in tracking their business. And that is, when we take a listing, we all enter that listing as active into my business. But when we take a buyer under buyer rep, that is the exact same thing. It's just the buy side. You can put that into my business. I want to show you that real quick. So when you go into my business, you can put listing in as active, but you can also put a buyer in as active. So he is under buyer rep, so he's active under me. I can put his name in here, Tommy. I can put the source. I can add more sources if I want to. I'll use, he came off my blog. And then the buyer, so this highlights in red everything you need to fill out. So it's the list date or the buyer rep date. So this guy signed with me on the 15th, and then it expires on 6/1/2019. And what I can do for Tommy, he's looking at a certain price point. He's looking at $450,000 roughly. What that does for me is it shows me my buyer inventory so that I can see future business inside of my business now. So not only do I see active listings, I can see my active buyers. I have one, my volume is 450 and roughly 13.5 in commission sitting out there in my buyers. So you guys can put those in just like a listing so you guys can see what your inventory looks like there as well. All right, so back to the business plan. So it's 52 buyer reps that I need to take this year if 80% of those buyers that sign under me end up buying a home this year. That will give me my 42. And we're going to drill it all the way down to how many appointments that you need to go on an annual and monthly basis. So in this scenario, I'm taking 56 listings. And if I go on the appointment 65% of the time I get it, that means I would have to go on 85 appointments. Let's say I'm pretty good at my listing presentation, 85% of the time I get it. And obviously the better your conversion rates, the lower your workload will be. Because obviously that's the goal. And that's the whole goal of this system as well, is to identify weak spots in your business to be able to take your business to the next level. Because it's going to track all of these for you. What is your listing appointment to listing taken percentage? If it's low, and if you could see that, then you can improve your listing presentation and get better at that and get better conversion rates. All of a sudden you're increasing your business by doing less work. And that is the goal. That's the entire goal of the system, is not to give you work to do, is to show you what you could do to increase your business and make your business bulletproof and sustainable through any type of market that we're going through. So there's my listings taken. That's roughly 5.4 a month. I'm sorry, my buyer listing appointments. And then my buyer appointments is 65, and that's roughly 5.4 a month as well. Now I want to touch on the seasonality here, because we don't want to come out of the gates. Those are our goals every single month. We want to, and we could set it that way. You have that option. Inside of your seasonality, you could just simply put 8.3% for every month. That will flatline all of your goals if that is something you want to do. But if your market does have seasonality and you just want to set it to that, you guys can tweak your seasonality right here on the top here. So one of the things that CTE does as well, that no other system that I have seen does, is when you put your seasonality in here, you can see that my peak months, and this is your closed seasonality, so your closed income. So I peak in May, June, and July. So if I look down at my closed income, it peaks in May, June, and July. But what doesn't peak in May, June, and July are my listings taken and my buyers taken and appointments. They actually peak 60 days ahead of my closed production. Because if they peak in the same month, there's no way that can actually take place. I need to take those listings 60 days roughly ahead of my closed production, so I have that inventory to sell on time to hit my financial goals. So it's going to make you do your activity-based items and those results from them 60 days ahead of your closed production, so that way you have that window to close that and actually make that income. So that's the seasonality section there. You guys can tweak that. And then there's also the expense and budget section. So when you go into the expense and budget section, there's a little guide here that's based off of your GCI, how much you roughly should be spending. And you guys can go in here and customize and put in your own budget. And you guys can utilize those categories right there, or we can get more detailed on our budget as well, which I will show you. So for supplies, I'll put 125. It shows me my annual budget, because that's my monthly budget, what it would be annually, and then what percentage of my GCI is going to that operating expense. My education, 150, my equipment, 75, my phone, 175, my office rent is 500, lead gen, 1500, auto insurance, 250, technology, 75, and salaries of 5,000. So what that has done is it gives me my percentage of GCI in each category, and then my total percentage as well. So 18% of, or basically 19% of my business is going to my operating expenses. So I can see that. And then when I go to my financial statement, there's a little button there that'll bring you to it. Those top 9 categories are defaulted in here, and it brought over that budget for you automatically. The year-to-date budget is not calculating. That will calculate as soon as January 1st hits. You can add in additional items here as well. So if I have a mailer program that I want to set a budget for my mailer. So there's a detailed chart of accounts, or you can just type in anything that you want as well. And if that mailer is going to roughly cost me $1,200 for the year, I can put that as the budget amount for that item. And I can add as many as I want. And what it does is that dollar figure that you're budgeting for will be pushed back to the total of your budget. So if I go back to my budget and I go to my expenses, you can see my main categories are up here. And then here's all of my additional items that I added. So I can see that. And then here's my grand total for my budget. So you can be very detailed, or just keep it as simple as you want for your budget. All right. So that is basically if I was an individual, my business plan would be set. I can see what my net income is. And again, if that's not going to be enough, I can easily increase my GCI, and that would, or I could lower my expenses to make my net profit proper. The next area is going to be the team. And this is obviously the the power of CTE is allows you to build your entire business plan inside and add all of your individual agents as well and track all of their goals so we can see exactly how the team is performing. If we're not hitting our goals, we can identify maybe where we need to do more training with somebody and help them out or whatever it may be. So when adding in your team members, so I will use Johnny, buyer agent. So he's a buyer agent on my team. Once I fill that out, it highlights in yellow what I need to fill out. So as long as I choose buyer agent, and then what I'm going to input here is going to be how much he needs to produce. So if Johnny wants to make 100,000 off the team and he's on a 50-50 split, he's going to need to produce $200,000. So if I put $200,000 in there and then 0% from the list side, he's 100% buy. It pulls down the average sale price from the lead agent. I could easily change that as well if he has a different sale price. And then his split to the team owner. On a standard split, obviously there may be different scenarios where he may get a better split if you brought the lead or whatever it may be. In the business plan, we simply put the standard split on the team. Inside of my business, you can pay out every transaction differently. So we put 50% to the team owner. So now $100,000 is going to him and $100,000 is going to me. This goes into my cost of sales. My cost of sales has now increased to 123 and 17.6%. So I can always see my percentages up here as well, because what we want to do is running teams tend to fail pretty often in our industry. Is a lot of it is they don't have the structure set up properly to be successful. So when you're building your business plan, we can make sure that the numbers align with what you want and set you up for success versus failure. So that is Johnny, buyer agent. He needs to sell 33 buyers. Here's how many buyer reps he needs to take. Here's how many appointments he needs to go on an annual and monthly basis. And I can tweak his conversion rates as well if I want to. So if he's a little less, maybe I'm a little better with my scripts and presentations, I can change Johnny's, maybe he's 50% on his buyer reps. Now his workload basically doubles on that. So you guys can tweak those as well. And then I can simply keep adding in my team members. So I've got Sally Lister. She's my listing specialist. If I choose listing agent, and she is actually going to produce $300,000 on the listing side. She does 90% listing. So if that is the scenario, it's going to ask for both her split on the list side and on the buy side. So she's on a 50-50 split on both of those. So now she makes 150 and I make 150. That 150 that she is keeping is going into my cost of sales, and my percentage again just increased to 27%. So I can keep on adding in all of these team members in here as well. A couple things, the roles, there's a buyer agent, a listing agent. They're both a listing or buyer agent. Those are all producing roles. There's also your showing assistant, your ISA, and your admin. I'm going to go through putting in the goals for them. They are non-producing roles since they technically are not going to actually be closing the transactions. They're just going to be helping out along the way, either setting the appointment, if they're an ISA, showing assistant, maybe helping out with the showings. But obviously, one of the listing specialists or buyer specialists is going to have to close the transaction. The admin, maybe they're helping out with files and they get a bonus per transaction that they help out with. So basically what we would do for, I'll use an ISA as an example. So Tim ISA. When I choose ISA, it's going to gray out all the production simply because he's not going to actually sell those houses. Somebody else has to do that work. We simply put in his income goal for the year. So how much money does Tim want to make? So if Tim's goal is to make $50,000, and I can do it, he's doing both list and buy side. Basically, what's going to happen is that $50,000 is going to go into my cost of sales. It may not all come from me. It may be taking portions out of the buyer agent or the listing agent on the transactions, but it's going to just get lumped into your cost of sales because you can take it out of your buyer agent or listing agent inside of my business. The only thing we do for Tim ISA, because his goal is to set appointments for us, is his listing and buyer appointments. How many we need him to set on a monthly basis? Tim needs to set 10 appointments every single month on the list side and on the buy side. And that's going to be what his goals are when you see all of his reports. His goals are to hit those, and you'll be able to track and see if he's hitting those and check out his conversion rates. So that's all you have to do when adding in an ISA is just put their income goal and how many appointments they need to set. We keep that as extremely simple on the ISA end. And same if you had an admin. So Joan admin. So she's an admin and she helps out on certain transactions that she gets a bonus on. So I can simply put, she wants to make an extra $1,500 in bonuses this year based off of transactions. That goes into my cost of sales. And now I can simply pay Joan out on transactions and that will go into my cost of sales. So that is really all I have to do for the business plan. And I missed something very important. I totally forgot because this is new this year. This was a request by a lot of people. Was right now, when you add in all of the goals, they accumulate together for your goal. So that's your team goal. Some people want the ability to just set a team goal for the year. That is the standard. It never deviates from that, no matter how many people we add or we remove throughout the year, because that's one thing that has happened is teams tend to change throughout the year, but we don't want to change our goal because we added somebody new. Now our goal increases. You have the ability, the team goal override. You will see this when you choose team. You can choose, we want to have an override goal. And it will allow you, now you can see I have no goals now, no income goals because I just chose team override. This will allow you to go in and set the standard goal for the team. We are going to do $1.2 million. So I can put that in. I can put the income is 50-50. I can put the average sale price. So 200,000, and it's going to go in there and grab all of that. And that is going to be the goal. So no matter how many people I add or remove, our team goal never changes unless I actually go in there and change it. And that will become the team goal for the year versus using so you can use it either way. So it just gives you the option. Some people really like just a simplified team goal, and then I can add in all of my individual agent goals, etc. inside of here. All right, we are getting to that point, about 4 minutes left. So I want to open this up to any questions that you guys may have. Type them in, and I will go over and cover that while I have you on here. So I'll wait for something to kind of stroll in while you guys are typing. I'm currently in production, but I want the numbers as listing agent to look like I'm paying a listing agent 35%. Okay, I'm currently in production. I don't know what the number is. Listing agent to look like I am paying a listing agent. Okay, so you're paying the listing agent 35%. Now, we may have to take this offline because there might be more to this, but real quick, David. So you're paying them 35% even if you do the listing yourself, or is it them doing the listing and then you're paying them 35%? Okay, so you're doing it and then you're paying them 35%. That might be something that I have to tweak. So if you can shoot me an email, I might have to do a little extra on that for you. Where can we find easily plug in from last year's, i.e. listing and buyer team closes? Okay, so good question is, where can I find my stats from 2000? And I wish I had that file open here, but my stats from the prior year. The best report for this is going to be your trends report. We'll have virtually all of this on it. It has all those details. Let me just jump in here, Bree, real quick. Where can I find plugin from last year's CTE percent of listings? So actually, I apologize. 411. If you go to your 411, this will have everything in there. So it has your actual conversion rates from 2018. It has your listing appointment to listing taken versus your goal, your buyer taken to sold, listings taken to sold, all of your income and everything on there as well. That would be by far the best report for that. You bet. An agent on our team wants to use CTE to track her business and expenses for herself, and she has set up her own. Okay, so that's another good question. This happens quite a bit so if they're on a team, so Johnny's on a team here and we track everything he does, but he sees the value in all this data and tracking it. He wants to do it himself as well. So they can create their own CTE, absolutely. So they would be the lead agent. And then what they would do is they would just put in they would choose team and they would put in Team Mergen, whatever the team is, and they would just simply put them in as both a listing or a buyer specialist. And what they can do is they can then pay out the team on each transaction to see how much money they made. So real quick here, I'll go into my business when paying team members out. So on any transaction, so if I close out a transaction, and it's going to highlight in red everything that it needs now. And actually, I'll do this for 2019 because this is a 2019 file. Real quick here, I want to, so in that scenario, if I can pay out the team, I had to pay them 50% on that transaction. So that will go into his cost of sales so he can see that as well. But real quick here, let's say that I was on a normal transaction. So Sally Lister did this transaction. Normally she gets 50%, but the ISA helped her out on this transaction. So she's going to pay the ISA 10%. So instead of paying her 50%, we pay her 40, and then we can pay our ISA 10%. So now that ISA fee never came out of my business as the lead agent. It simply came out of Sally's because her income on that transaction decreased. The other thing you can also do inside of my business, because obviously in real estate, not everything is just cookie cuttered and perfect, is you can just type in the dollar figure here as well and always override that dollar figure. So if the percentage doesn't come out to be the exact dollar, you know what, we simply paid her $1,500. I don't know what percentage that was, but I know that's what we paid her. And then the ISA got paid $250 on that transaction. So you can always override that and put that information in. And then that's obviously going to go into your homepage, income, and everywhere. So now my financial statement gets updated so I can see this income, 13,000, my split to the office, my royalties, I paid out my buyer agent, and my ISA was paid $250. So it's going to build out your entire financial statement for you as well. So really, again, your only areas of entry are 1, 2, 3. Once you do your business plan, you will see a button pop up here to activate your mobile. So you guys can get the mobile, get this data on your phone so you have it anywhere you go. You're always looking at live real-time data, and also the ability to update all of your lead generation activities. So all of that is there. And then also the CTE support button. Utilize this. It's got virtually every question that I get asked more than once is basically on here. So everything is on here. And then obviously if that does not answer it, obviously you have my email, and I try to reply virtually like it's a chat. I try to reply right away. There's a support form on here as well. Utilize that. But that is really it. I want to show you a couple other things here real quick in 2019. So the tutorial is built in on here too. So there's a tutorial on the business plan. So you guys are definitely going to get sick of hearing my voice, I'm sure, by the end of all of these videos. But there's a tutorial there. Inside of my business, there's a tutorial here as well showing you how to do everything inside of there. Also in the lead generation section, there's a built-in tutorial there as well. So all of your training is all built in here. And then everything else is going to be right down at the bottom. And you can also just simply click on these reports up here. The dashboards are a new thing for 2019. When you click on this, these are fully customizable dashboards that you guys can put up. And you guys can put whatever you want on these dashboards. You can toggle this so your 4 main areas you want to focus on. You can say, all right, let's look at the first quarter of the year. I can look at this week, last week, this month, year to date. I can look at January, February, March. You can pull any time frame that you want on here for your dashboard. So you're always looking at exactly what you want. You've got some minor areas that you can set so we can see how many contacts we've made this month or this quarter, appointments. Everything is down there. And then there's a second dashboard as well. So if you like this layout better, and again, every category on here is fully customizable, and you guys can change the time frame that you're looking at on these dashboards. And then we can, so if we want to focus on our lead gen leaderboards, I want to focus on who is doing the most written offers. So it's going to go in there and pull it based off of the time frame that we are looking at. And then all areas are customizable on here as well. Did you say the 2019 agents on team would have access to a portion of their 411 or something similar? All right, so I hate selling because I hate charging for anything. So the question is the ability for them to be able to see some of their stuff. So if you click on CTE support, this is something new. Well, it's not new, but there's a lot more features in 2019. This is called the team member login capability. So when you click on this, it's a $79 add-on that covers you for the entire year. That's not per month. That's not per team member. It's just a $79 to add that feature. It's basically a setup fee that we charge because it does take us a little bit of work to set it up. And that gives you guys the capability for your team members to log in and see their team member scorecard. And what's new on this team member scorecard now, and this isn't going to show on here, but when you choose an agent, they have their own whiteboard as well. So you can look at this, see all of their newest listings, all of their upcoming closings, all of their closings for the year as well. So they have their own whiteboard built in here. And with that login feature, they have the ability to see this as well. So they can see all of the contracts that they've got going, and they can see their entire scoreboard or scorecard. They can also see the lead gen leaderboards as well. So they can see, because what we really want to do is drive production. And one of the best things you can do for production is competition. So when they see that this month, so-and-so has done so many listing appointments or listing contract appointments held, it kind of fuels those people. So they'll have access to this as well without having access to all of your financial back end. All right, perfect, Bree. Believe me, I don't do any selling, but certain things we just have to, just due to the nature of the beast. So, all right, I believe I kind of rambled quite a bit. You guys stuck through all of that. We're a little bit over, but if there's anything else, quick question: is there a way to track nurtures on the dashboard? On the dashboard, so that should. Let me take a look at that. I don't know if I included. So you're referring to this customizable dashboard. Yeah, I did not add nurtures to this. I did listing appointments. I can definitely add that to it, and that's something I should definitely add just in general as well. So if you want to shoot me an email on that, I can add that in here as well. One thing too, on your horse race this year, again, as we talk about competition, the horse race is a great one. There's a lot more added to this. So we've got all of this on here. It also has sold units, listings sold, buyers sold, all appointments held, all appointments set. This does have the nurtures on it. So now it's not just limited to the basic categories. You guys can be virtually as detailed as you want on here on that horse race. All right. All right. I don't see anything else coming to you guys. What I'll do is I'm going to upload this to YouTube. And I will email a recording out to everybody that is registered on this webinar. And if nothing else comes in the next few seconds here, we'll wrap this up so you guys can get back to business. When will 2008? Oh, great question. So 2018 data transferring. I'm going to be transferring that starting December 20th through the end of December. And then everybody, because last year I didn't start that till January, and it kind of people had to wait a little bit. So we're going to do that in the end of December. And then all of your data will be transferred over. And what I transfer over, real quick here, because this is new as well, is your year-over-year report. Got a little bit of a tweak to it. So it still has the stuff up top here, month by month. How are you doing this year versus last year? It also has a 12-month running total in your business as well. So you can always see my closed month, 12-month running total, my closed unit, 12-month running total. And then also first quarter versus each quarter of the year, this year versus last year as well, will be built into it. So when I transfer your data, you're going to get year over year stats. Your closed transactions from the prior year stay in there. I don't move them over, otherwise it congests everything. But we move over all of your active listings, your active buyers, your potentials, your pre-signs, your pending transactions for 2019. All of that gets merged over, and then you start with a clean slate of closed transactions. And then obviously you always have access to your 2018 file for more detail, but your year-over-year report will have the majority of it. All right, we will wrap this thing up. And like I said, I'll get this thing sent out to you. I got to obviously crop a little bit of the dead time, and we'll get sent out to you guys. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day, and have a great rest of your week.